Let's freaking go! LSU football all day, every day. If this just happens to be your first ever live stream, welcome on in to the funnest LSU football community on the planet. Tonight, I saw a very interesting quarterback ranking that I think a lot of you would be interested in, that both had Garrett Nussmeyer and Jayden Daniels in the top 5-ish. We'll talk about that coming up. Also, LSU did make a very interesting uniform change. We're going to talk about that as well. Okay. So the simple truth is this: there is so much going on right now in the world of college football, but so little right now going on with LSU. It's still kind of in the same spot we were a month ago, where a lot of you are still asking a bunch of recruiting ranking questions with LSU. Are we going to finish in the top 10? What are our chances of getting into the top 5? What's the latest with Wardell Mack? And what I would tell you, whoever you are right now, don't stress out about it. It's not worth it. Okay. Just I don't know why this camera crap is doing this to me. I prefer this camera anyway because I'm able to look a little bit more directly at you. But what I would say is, yes, it is very important to keep recruiting. I'm not saying recruiting isn't important, but tomorrow we might be having some news. So we'll talk about that coming up a little bit later. I never like to talk about anybody's like, yeah, he's coming here or there, because a lot of people do end up looking stupid. But tonight, I wanted to start with this. Okay. I want to show you this quarterback ranking from Bud Elliott. Okay. His top 12 SEC ratings. Okay. So Bud's a very well respected college football national analyst. And by name, you notice he has Jayden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeyer in his top 5-ish. Okay, so he says whoever wins the Georgia quarterback competition is his number one quarterback in the SEC. I think a lot of that has to do with the supporting cast, because who doesn't look good throwing to Brock Bowers? Joe Milton, number 2. I also think that is more system oriented than anyone else. But by name, Jayden Daniels, that is not the great Dennis Leary. That's Devin Leary of Kentucky, number 3. KJ Jefferson, number 4. And then Garrett Nussmeyer, number 5, but really number 6. So notice, I want you to look at this, okay? This is a national commentator. He's actually I believe, Florida State fan. But he's neutral in his observations. I think what's really interesting is the names that Garrett Nussmeyer is ahead of here. Okay. Take a look at this. I want you to really take a look at this. Garrett Nussmeyer, better than Spencer Rattler, better than Connor Wigman, better than Jackson Dart, better than whoever wins the quarterback competition, better than Will Rogers, and better than Nico Imeavelava. Now, obviously, I love me some Garrett Nussmeyer, as many of you know. I've talked about him at length on this channel. I also love Jayden Daniels, not just as people because they play for my favorite team, but I like them as players, and they are diametrically different quarterbacks. But Garrett Nussmeyer, from a national college football analyst here, ahead of Spencer Rattler, who has 3-ish years of starting experience, Connor Wigman, who is also from the state of Texas. He has 5 starts under his belt. Jackson Dart, years of starters experience. Bama has a quarterback who has made a few starts in Jalen Milroe. Will Rogers has years and years and years of experience. Will Rogers feels like Perry Ellis of Kansas. Looks like he's been at Mississippi State forever. And then Nico Imeavelava was my number one quarterback in this last recruiting class by far. I've been on record even before last year saying that. So what I would say is this national analyst, Bud Elliott, really good at his job. I've been following Bud for a while. He really likes Garrett Nussmeier. JAYDEN Daniels being number 3 on this list shouldn't shock anybody. Right? JAYDEN, of course, going into year 5 with 4 years of starters experience. But what really shocked me is where Garrett Nussmeier was on this list. Okay. So here's Danny Girl. She says, I think Nuss is the second best quarterback in the SEC. That's bold. Now, Danny, that's what I love about you. You have some bold takes. That's what this is about. It's okay to feel comfortable in going out on a limb. So let me ask you this. I know this is a group of LSU fans. I want you to take your LSU hats off here. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. Garrett Nussmeier is better than Spencer Rattler. Type Y for yes, type N for no. The same Spencer Rattler who beat Clemson and Tennessee last year. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Garrett Nussmeier is a better quarterback than Spencer Rattler. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Tell them, Jordan, they don't want both of our guys to be top 2. They don't want it. Tell them. Sherry Berry, good to see you. Thanks for all your support. Seeing more Sherry Berry. The PHL, all of it's always better with Sherry Berry. That's my homie. AHM, Brandon, Tony the Tiger, Edward O, Hakeem, Batiste. I love that name. I love that name. All-time great NBA center. Last name, Batiste. Kind of reminds me of Tyler Batiste. I used to work with him in Hodges Hall. Shout out to Tyler. One of the great LSU student media members. I don't know if you have any relation to him. So I'll be honest with you. I would take Garrett Nussmeier over Spencer Rattler. I would. I would take Garrett Nussmeier over Connor Wigman. I would. I would definitely take Garrett Nussmeier over Will Rogers. I don't think Will Rogers is that good. I think he is deadly accurate. And Jordan, thank you so much for the super chat. You get to pick the next topic. Okay. Will is very accurate. I just don't think he has a good deep ball. I don't. Now we'll see when the Mississippi Bulldogs shift from the air raid to a little bit more of a mixed form of an offense, right? Because they never ran the ball last year. Okay. Never ran the ball. Right. They never did. Type Y for yes, type N for no. You would take Garrett Nussmeier over Nico Imeavelava. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I don't know if I could go that far, y'all. I don't know. Now, once again, this is my objective evaluations. I love me some Garrett Nussmeier. Okay. So I don't want y'all going around saying, well, he was hating on Garrett. But I'm telling you right now, when you see national guys putting Garrett Nussmeier this high on the list without having make an SEC start, It's pretty daggum good. It's pretty daggum good. Okay. And if you would have told me after the Southern Jaguars game that Garrett Nussmeier would be getting top 5 quarterback in the SEC love from the national media. Okay. And the truth telling, Mom, is not many people do. If you don't follow recruiting, you're just not going to know who that is. And that's fine. And trust me, I will say this to all college football fans out there. All right. And I'm really doing this. Your life is better. Your life is better if you don't worry about recruiting. I will put my hand on any metaphysical belief book that you may worship. Your life is better if you do not follow recruiting. It is hard to do it. Sometimes I just turn it off. Because nothing matters until you sign on the dotted line. Now, that's not entirely true. You do need to go out there and get commitments, and you do need to go out there and recruit. But objectively speaking, nothing is final until pen is to paper. So it's better if you're a college football fan and you only focus in on the guys that made the decision to go to your school. I'll take JD5 and Nuss over any other QB room in the nation. Agreed. If we are talking purely depth. But normally I'm going to take the quarterback room with Caleb Williams in it. Let's go to Jordan. Do we get more than 2 years with Nuss if we would take him over Nico? Well, Nico was never coming to LSU. We weren't really in it, like at all. Yeah, some of that is volume related, but you are right. There are some instances where Mahomes does like to fit the football in a tight window. Now, we don't have a Mahomesian quarterback on our roster right now. But then again, who does? Now, we get to the uniform change that has happened with LSU football. This is via LSU uniform tracker. Okay. So you notice there's nothing really different here. All right. So the left is the uniform that LSU used to have, and the right is the uniform that they have now. So there's no real structural change other than where the ventilation dots are here. But you do notice the biggest change you will see is actually right here on the collar. Okay. So right around that SEC logo, you'll see obviously some gray shades right here, and you'll see some other ventilation dots right here. So you wouldn't really notice it unless you're really looking at it closely, but just so you're not blindsided, there is a little bit of a uniform variation. I do like that LSU roughly a decade ago changed their uniforms to putting the LSU at the top of the numbers. But now, obviously, this is a lot of bias on my side right here, and that's perfectly fine with me. But the truth here is LSU uniforms are the best. They are just the best. They are so clean. They are so unique. And I know we have gotten into uniform debate on here before. How many different variations of LSU uniforms should we have? And to be honest, when we've done the the Cochon delay and all the other uniform variations, alternate uniforms, I have freaking adored every design. I mean, it is TI paper trail, no skips, every single variation. I mean, every song on the album is fire. Okay. So I'm going to be real. I don't like when we switch up our uniforms because I am nervous that we're going to come up with an alternate design that sucks. Huh? Because I've never disliked a single one of them. Never. Okay. Never. Pooh Bear, good to see you. No, I think that's a little too much. That's a little too much. Keep it clean, baby. Keep it clean. Yeah, the fingernail thing. Some people just can't get over it. It was. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. The fingernail thing was bold. Now, do I think Caleb Williams is like a total jerk? No, but the fingernail thing is audacious. I will say that. Uh, I think if he wasn't a quarterback, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But even then, I'll. Ugh. But he is so good, and he almost went to LSU. Okay, he almost went to LSU. We were in the top 3. It was down to Maryland, Oklahoma, and us. And really, it came down to Maryland, LSU, and Lincoln Riley, if we're being quite honest. So there you go. But it worked out for the better, right? Because Caleb Williams obviously is doing his thing, and we ended up with a really good quarterback room ourselves. Now, next thing. Well, let me say one more final thing about the uniform change. I love LSU's uniforms. I do. I like them in all sports. There's really just not many uniform designs that I've seen with LSU that I do not that I just don't like at all. The only LSU uniforms I hate, and the Discord knows this already, but if I ever had 2 seconds with Jay Johnson, ever, and Jay Johnson walked up to me and said, "Hey, I know you love LSU more than anybody, but I'm giving you 2 minutes to talk to me." What I would tell Jay Johnson or Skip Bertman or whoever influential in LSU baseball, get rid of the gray uniforms. I don't know why the frick we keep those gray uniforms. There's no need. There's no need. We have the most beautiful college baseball uniforms on the planet. Now, the best hats, I love Virginia's baseball hats. Their logo just looks so good on a baseball hat. But truth be told, get rid of the gray uniforms. That is my only hot sports take when it comes to LSU. Every other LSU uniform, I love the uniqueness of purple and gold. I love our football uniforms. Play as many games, white top, gold bottom. I like the white top, gold bottom way better than I like the purple top, gold bottom. But as Sherry Berry is my witness, I can't do the gray baseball uniforms, y'all. I just can't. And the funny thing is, as you can see, I like gray. I wear a lot of gray shirts with logos on it. I freaking love gray. Not on a baseball uniform. It never, and Major League Baseball does it. And they don't need to have colorful uniforms. And I get that. But you don't. The funny thing about college, the funny thing about baseball, it's the only sport where both teams can wear the same color jersey and it not cause total chaos. It happens a lot in the AAU circuit, right? You can wear the same color and it's fine. You don't need, you can wear whatever you want. Just don't wear gray. It's boring. One LSU uniform that is underutilized is the pinstripe with the Louisiana logo on top of the number. Y'all, that uniform does things to me. It does things to me. Oh, man. I would have asked Haley to wear one walking down the aisle earlier this month. I love the uniform that much. That sucker is so freaking clean. God, dog. Go look at it. It's so freaking clean. Smoke Laval black unis. Smoke Laval. I don't like the Smoke Laval erasure. It's not like he sucked. He went to multiple College World Series, did he not? Mm. Now, I say that, and I have to get everything all confirmed here. All right, cool. July 15th. It's this Saturday. All right. I just got the updated flyer here from Ty Christiana. Hayden Travinski, Cade Beloso will be signing autographs and taking photos. Sports Card of Louisiana. That's all the information for you. $30 autos for both of them. That's pretty good in person as well. It's not a fair price. And these guys are millionaires. So obviously it's a way to put money directly into their pocket, which these guys deserve, especially Beloso, because we don't win it without him. We obviously don't win it without Travinski either. And those guys are going to be signing. Obviously, Hayden's from Shreveport. So it's all the information right here. I support my guy, Ty Christiana. July 15th, that is this Saturday. And they'll be signing, and make sure I get this right, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Okay? So they'll be going at 1 p.m. Make sure you're there early and get your stuff signed by 2 national champion LSU basketball players. And then they're taking photos. So there you go for North Louisiana Tigers. All right. Now, let's get back into football. Next thing I want to get into here. All right. There's been a big discussion about LSU and what are the real national championship odds. The biggest thing I would say, and by the way, if you can't make it, I totally get it short. I should make this clear. I won't be there. Let me make this clear. Barring some miracle, I will not be there. This is not a PHO together. This is me just supporting some people that have supported me. But let me just be clear. I will not be there. All right. I don't want to get there and think it's another PHO North Louisiana get together. We've had a lot of those lately. Okay. Now, I want to talk about if you were to type anything right now in the chat, what is LSU's biggest weakness? I want you to answer that in this chat right now. Okay? I will answer that in this chat right now. Okay? What is LSU's biggest weakness? I want you to just be as honest as you possibly can. We go to Swamp Donkey. Do you have an update on how Jack Besh is doing at TCU? Is he a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 this season? Yeah, it's going to be tough. There's a lot of wide receivers that entered that room. JoJo Earl's in that room. They returned, obviously, some receivers from this last year's team. Okay. And look, I'll say this. We had a PHLer actually see Jack Besh in an establishment. He was wearing his PHL merch. And Jack and his family were very gracious to him. So obviously Jack has no animosity really towards LSU or to us or anyone like that. So I've not talked to Jack since then, and I'm cheering for him big time. I'm never anybody that ever jumps on this channel and has played for LSU. I've got nothing but love for him, but I have no idea. And also Swamp Donkey, TCU is also not in the SEC, so I'd really don't follow them too closely. And you know, we'll just see when it actually happens. Now, Danny Girl says depth. BT says depth. Kedrick says experience in the secondary. Secondary, CB, running back. Secondary, corners unknown. There you go. Let's go to Grant Super Chat here. It's a very good Super Chat. How do I feel about DJ Uiagalelei being drafted by the Dodgers? I feel like it's a wasted pick and disrespectful to someone like Cade Beloso who would have appreciated it. Okay. Now, number one, I definitely am not the MLB draft guy. I can answer some MLB questions. I am not the MLB draft guy. It is so complicated. I know there's like a gazillion rounds, and sometimes you just draft a guy to have the rights to that player. You know, some of the most publicity the Oakland A's have gotten is drafting Kyler Murray, right? So sometimes there's like that attached to it. DJ Uiagalelei is like a high school legend in California. So I don't know. I don't know how hard he throws. I mean, there's so many famous athletes that have played football that have just been drafted in baseball because of their athleticism. Russell Wilson, Tom Brady was also drafted in baseball by the Expos, and I don't know how all of that actually works. And of course, you have some football players that were drafted in baseball, and they end up being really good baseball players, and like a Todd Hilton. Is it disrespectful to Kay Beloso? Yes, but at the same time, Grant, this is professional baseball, right? There's really hardly any disrespect in the draft. It's either you're picked or you're not. Um, and I don't get it. I obviously I don't feel like I know enough about like pro baseball evaluation to say what a team is looking for. Obviously, I could see, a team looking at Cade Beloso and he's not a super fast guy and he's a DH, so he didn't really field all that much last year. I don't know. I don't know. Um, I'm not Billy Bean or the Moneyball guy, whatever. Uh, so yeah, it is what it is. I think one way you could help Cade is go to the autograph signing in Shreveport this next weekend. So shout out to DJ Uiagalelei as well. He's not that great of a quarterback, but I will say this: if you are rooting for something this year, one thing that could help LSU some. Remember, Clemson is on our future schedule. Okay, so we have Clemson coming up after this 2024 season. We have them on 2025 and 2026. We have a home and home setup with them. If DJ Uiagalelei goes to Oregon State and balls out, and Kate Klubnik, who was the number one quarterback committed, Clemson's got a bunch of 5-star wide receivers. Let's just say Clemson's offense sucks again. Why on earth would any elite quarterback want to go to Clemson? Why? Make it make sense. The only few quarterbacks that have made it work are Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence recently. Okay. So I'm honestly kind of rooting for that because then in a few years, we're going to be looking pretty good. And then also, Grant, I think with like these baseball picks, they're looking for upside. And DJ Uiagalelei can probably throw a baseball pretty hard because he's got a cannon. So I don't know. What's up, BC? Good to see you. Tyler holding it down. So, Grant, thank you so much for the super chat. You get to pick the next question until another super chat. So, biggest weakness here: depth, experience at secondary. Cole says running back. That's very interesting. Emicat says corner. Let's see. The biggest weakness. Backup QB. You're saying DJU is a backup QB. Okay. I would not think your answer to that question would be backup QB. I would say that's probably one of our top 5 strengths. Edward O says defensive end. Okay. Are you meaning more of the Jack linebacker end or like Savion Jones end and the depth there? You could consider both, the depth at both of those places. So a lot of you have said depth. I totally agree with that. And to use a Brian Kelly word, you are in alignment with BK. I think Brian Kelly's biggest thing is depth too. I feel like that is his biggest concern. But here's my concern. I brought it up someone on Blake's channel. I said I'll bring it up here again. Elite teams dominate people. All right. And I feel like it's going to be important next year for LSU to go out there and assert their will versus a few teams, right? Last year they were able to do it against Purdue, who fielded a JV team, and the other non-Power 5s that they played. So New Mexico Southern and UAB. And they were dominant in the Florida and Ole Miss games, after, a slow start. it kind of sort of slow start in the Florida game and a slow start in the Ole Miss game, at least defensively. I think that's going to be key because, look, great teams normally dominate some of their opponents. 4-quarter, start to finish versus Power 5 competition. But the next thing, for me at least, this is something that a lot of teams struggle with. We never, outside of the Florida Gators game, and that Florida defense was probably the worst in the East last year. Okay. Vandy went ham on them. Vandy. So they fired their defensive coordinator, right? And I won't say, I was about to say something that would stir up the pot, but I won't say that. We got to be better on the road. We've got to be better on the road. Okay. Now, I've been doing a lot of research on road games in the SEC. And one thing I have seen historically, especially over the last 5 to 10 years, teams really struggle earlier in the season on the road compared to later. Now, that makes a lot of sense, right? If you're starting off early in the season, it's better to go on the road knowing what your team identity is, okay? We've got a semi-tricky road schedule. I kind of like playing Alabama on the road. I really do. Sometimes I prefer to play in Tuscaloosa than Baton Rouge for this reason. The bye week. We're able to load up and really get ready for that game, especially this year, with Army being the week before the bye week. Okay. This year we just simply have got to get better playing on the road. All right. Last year we did not have a single road performance offensively outside of the Florida game and Purdue, if you want to consider that. But not only that, 11 a.m. games. We've got to be better on 11 a.m. spots. I feel like we're going to have a few of those this year. We did last year. Expect more this year. And obviously in our 2 11 a.m. games, we just did not play well at all, especially offensively. That's where we really, really, really stunk up the joint. So, you look at this and, you go to Grant right here, only 4 road games. The only issue with that is I prefer to play my road games later in the year for this reason. You have more reps. When you go on the road and play in a true hostile environment away from home, it's tough, right? And I think part of it, Grant and everyone else, is college football is a very ritualistic sport. When you're practicing, you're only practicing in one location. So it's hard to get on a plane and travel wherever you travel. And then, boom, you're in a uniform and there's 100,000 people watching you. It is hard. It is a very tough transition. So I think road games next year is definitely one that concerns me. And one final thing, we do get favorable road draws. Obviously, the Florida State game is going to be tough. Mississippi State is a very good road game to start the year. I know the cowbells and all that junk, but I don't think this Mississippi State team's going to be that good. I really don't. I don't like what they have at skill guys. I don't like their quarterback situation right now. And defensively, they lost Emmanuel Forbes. They lost Tyrus Wheat. They lost some really good pieces. Ole Miss, obviously, that's always a very hostile place to play. I hate that Missouri game. That game has given me nightmares. I swear to God, if it's given me nightmares. It could just be how that 0 for 10 on third down game happened in 2020, but that's not here nor there. And then, of course, like I said, I don't think the Alabama game being on the road, it's a big deal. Obviously, I prefer to play the game at home, but the good thing about that is since road games are so much more difficult in nature, if you have 2 weeks to prepare for that, that obviously is going to get your mind right. That's going to get you, ready to go. And we still got a few guys on our team that played last time we were on the road, BTJ and Malik in particular. So, and obviously Greg Brooks has experience playing there and so on and so on. So, and to follow up here, I'm not counting FSU as a road game. I think we'll do a good job of making that as neutral as possible. It's a very good comment as well. So, neutral site games to start the season historically for SEC teams, for all teams, are really tough for your offense. Okay. And the deeper I dove into it, the deeper I began to see it's better to play home games to start the year. It just is. You get some momentum, you get some reps, and you get to see what you look like, right? I was going through and just charting as many like neutral site and brutal week 2 road games out there. And I started to notice a few things. Even the best offenses and the best teams always had issues with those games. Okay. So, good example. Let's take 2021 Georgia, for instance. They only scored 10 points on Clemson. Now, Clemson's defense was really good, but they didn't have the right quarterback. Their offense was just all over the place. They were disheveled. And after that, offensively, they were pretty solid the rest of the year. Take Alabama this year. It's a really good Alabama offense. This Alabama team wasn't as good as teams of years past. By far, their worst game offensively this year was on the road week 2 at Texas. Missouri's offense was tricky this past year. Their worst offensive game by far on the road at Kansas State in week 2. So, the more you look into it, it is so hard offensively to be clicking on all cylinders when you've not played a game yet. And obviously, for the Florida State game, what I would do is play as many full speed reps as you possibly can. Do it responsibly. Don't have like an all out scrimmage or whatever, but get some reps, get a lot of reps at a relatively fast pace, because I've seen even some of the best teams really struggle in that spot. They do not. Oh, Danny Girl's booked. Danny Girl's booked. TJ said we're showing up in numbers. Skipper says, I think we need to outlaw 11 a.m. games. The hard thing about that, Skipper, is that actually hurts you, the viewer. You want good 11 a.m. product. You just do. Okay? Like, for instance, if you start pre-gaming, like let's say like you're going out with all your friends at night and you start pre-gaming and all of a sudden you just stop drinking and you lose your buzz, night's over. It's hard to get it back going. So all of us watch College Game Day or whichever pregame show that you want to watch. You're fired up, and if you don't have good inventory at 11, it sucks. And as we showed in the last live stream, we have been by far the most fortunate 11 a.m. team. By far, nobody close. Nobody. Oh, Danny Girl's going to text A&M? Ryan, what's good, man? Dwayne D, good to see you. I need someone to, I've totally forgotten how to design shirts. All right, tell me if y'all would buy this t-shirt design. Because I think one of y'all tweeted this out. Or asked me to make some new merch for this year. Okay. I want to make a t-shirt that says, I love thick running backs. I love thick RBs. I do, man. There ain't nothing more I love than a thick RB, baby. Nothing. Especially if you rock a neck roll and a visor. I need someone to make an I love thick Arby's t-shirt design on Printful, and I could add it to my store. Would you buy that? Rock around. Yeah, I mean, I'd want to see it. It's not a pause, man. There's no pause in that. You gotta have thick Arby's, baby. We got a Georgia fan in here. Number 1, Georgia. Yeah, they'll probably be number 1. I'm telling you. One guy I think that is viciously underrated is Nick Chubb, though. I think his college career is very viciously underrated. The Jefferson Pilot days. I was trying to think if some clever merch hadn't been made yet. Doug said no. I love it. Man, we the SEC East is jumping in here tonight. I like it. We got fans from all fan bases here. Okay. Look, I've been doing a bunch of stuff for the SEC channel right here. Okay. So there you go. On Thursday night, I'll be dropping my deepest dive on Power Hour SEC. Okay. So do you, for every tailgate, do you set up at 8? So I guess you guys don't want the I Love Thick RB shirt. Well, I guess I need to design something else. I should just make another Let's Go shirt. So I have started a fantasy football channel. We did our first video earlier tonight. I'll link it here in just a second. Now, next thing. I do want to chat some SEC as a whole. You know, I think for me, all right, and this is just me. I do think the SEC has a potential of being purely chaotic. All right. I really do think so. Because earlier you guys saw that QB list, right? SEC has a chance to be an unbelievably chaotic season. Right? Kentucky could be good. And you guys know I've been hammering Kentucky for a while. The truth here, though, is I feel this next college football season is one you really need to hold on to really tightly. Okay? And the reason is very simple. The college football season will never be the same after this next year. Okay? When you switch from 4 to 12, you never really know if the sport will remain the same. Okay? You don't really know. It's just that simple. And this is just, me talking. All right? The next thing I would say about this is the 12-team playoff benefits us. It benefits us. Okay? It really benefits us. And I don't like it. I don't like it. And I think Mac Brown said it best a few years ago. There is more that is, and he actually said this last offseason. There is more that has changed with college football in the last 3 years than there had been in the previous 40. And really think about what Mac says, because Mac obviously has been in the sport, knows more about the sport than any of us. Okay. He has coached national championship teams. He has coached some of the best teams. And that quote has stuck with me because as big as the transfer portal has been, and as big as NIL has been, and as big as conference realignment has been, I'm telling you right now, when the playoff expands, you are not going to hear the end of it. Okay. And anytime there's any kind of expansion, it's not good for you. It's not good for you. Parties are better when there are some people that aren't invited than when more people are invited. You plan a trip to Vegas, you don't want to be more than 4 deep. If you're planning a guy's trip, you don't want to be more than 4 deep. 12 deep, 4 deep, big difference. The fewer, the better. College football playoff helps LSU. It helps Georgia. It helps Alabama. It helps Penn State. It helps Ohio State. It helps the traditional powers. Would have loved an 8 team. I think 6 would have actually been perfect. But I say this. I'm going to say it a few other times. Enjoy this college football season this next year. It will never be the same. The playoff is going to be rammed down your throats because playoff games make so much more money. They do. They do. Okay. They just do. Now, I will say one final thing. All right. So my Power Hour SEC breakdown later this week. You guys know I'm a scheduling format junkie. Your was important than the players in your league, the coaches in your league, your administrators in your league, because playoff scheduling or just schedule format does not change. Players come and go, coaches come and go, teams come and go. But your scheduling format is the most important thing you can have. And the SEC scheduling format has stunk for so long with the 8-game format. And I understand why people don't want to go to 9. I totally get it. And we're going to go to 8 in 2024. I've learned more about how, everything went down in Destin. I get it. I totally get it. I totally get teams wanting to stay at 8. But what I will tell you is, I know we got some Georgia fans in here. We've seen a few Florida fans in here. And us, along with Texas A&M and Missouri, were the ones who voted for 9, according to CBS Sports. Okay? We are the ones not scared. We are the ones not scared. I give Missouri a lot of credit. Missouri is obviously not a top 15 recruiter. They voted for 9 as well. I'm telling you right now, one of the most beautiful things about college football, is a random night in Columbia, South Carolina, ended a team's chance of making the playoffs. Think about that. A random night in South Carolina. In Columbia, South Carolina, ended a team's playoff hopes. That was a playoff game that night, Columbia, South Carolina. Tennessee still comfortably gets into the playoff, whether or not they win or lose that game. You don't want to devalue what makes the sport great. And here's the funny thing. I normally don't. I'm a little bit shocked that there's more people in the national media. And obviously I want to be a big college football commentator, but there's more people in the national media that feels this way. Josh Pate feels this way. I know a lot of you are fans of him. I know the college football nerds guy feel this way, but you should feel this way. And I don't like, saying that about anyone. You can feel any way you want to, but I know this sounds like weird, but The LSU Bama game last year is so much better knowing that we knocked Alabama out the playoff. That is crazy. I still don't fully believe that, Branson. It was never like full. I think we'll learn at SEC Media Days. I think if nobody in the media asks that question to while they're going to go crazy, I'm sure that they will. But I will tell you this. A lot of you are diehard college football fans. I would say 90% of you are diehard college football fans. So you just watch because it's fun or whatever. The playoff does not benefit you. Who it benefits is the national, like, casual viewer, right? That is an NFL fan only, or a fan of just whatever. And I love the NFL, but they're not a diehard college football fan, and they could just helicopter in for the playoffs. I don't like that. That's not us. That's not us. Okay. From more than us. I really do mean it. I really do mean it. The halves, the teams that have won multiple national championships in the past few decades: Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, us, and Florida to a certain extent if they can ever get it going. Simply thinks Auburn's going to be pretty good. All right. Last thing I will tell you. So last night I was on the phone with a very, and if you saw this, all right, I'm going to give you a little inside baseball. And I talked to Blake about this after. So last night I had the Blake spot. I'm on with him every Monday night, 7:30. Support AYS. It's my best bud. But, normally, I get to talk to some people that work in college football. And last night I was on the phone with someone who is very influential in the college football world. Okay. Now, he's not somebody that worked for the playoff, but he knows how the playoff selection process actually goes. And he gave me some insight, all right, on how the playoff committee works and, strength of schedule and all of that. And we disagreed on some things, and it's always a great conversation. It's fun. But he knows way more about college football than I do. Way more. Okay. And I'll talk to him a few times a year. Now, what I would say, the one thing we agree with is what I said a minute ago about road games. This Florida State game, historically, offenses are very clunky in these neutral site openers. It's just how the games normally are. Or, you're just not totally buttoned up. So our Florida State performance last year, as bad as it was, it really wasn't out of the norm if you really go look at some of the other SEC teams and how they perform in season opener or even week 2 road or neutral site games or whatever. But what I will tell you is I do ultimately think the SEC will stay at 8 games. I do. And it goes back to this, okay? It is so much more important to avoid losses than wins, okay? I know that sounds crazy, but who you beat is not nearly as important as losing versus anyone. You don't get respect for who you lose to. You just don't. You just don't. It's just how it works. It's how it works. Okay? And I know that sounds just absolutely crazy, but it's true. Avoiding losses is the most important thing. It is the most important thing. And the more I talk to people that truly know how things work, okay, the more I begin to realize there's not much upside for the SEC to go to 9. As much as I want them to, there's not. Because it's 8 more losses for your league. Okay. Now, I have a lot of thoughts about that. But with the way the business of college football works, yes, it would be better inventory for you and me. And yes, it is absolutely grotesque. The week before rivalry week, we have just the absolute worst games in the SEC. And we got another absolutely atrocious week this year. But mathematically, you do get a lot more wins as a conference if you don't go to 9. Losing is way more important than winning. And avoiding losses is way more important than who you beat. It's just how it is. I wish it wasn't like that. I wish a team like Oregon got respect for scheduling Auburn to start the year, scheduling Georgia to start the year, scheduling LSU to start the year like they have in years past. And in 2 of those games, they got their peach emojis kicked by teams that eventually made it to the national championship game. And those games truly ended up mattering against them towards the end of the season. The more you look into it, you have got to avoid losing. Winning, overrated. Avoiding losing is more important. So what does that mean? What is the one way you can avoid losing? Well, schedule more cupcakes. I think it's going to stay at 8. I really do. I really do. I really, really, really do. There are more people in that room that benefit from 8 than 9. Okay? There just is. There just is. Okay? All right, beer cans and baddies. Might have to mute you for a second. Might have to mute you for a second if you start doing that. Number 1, spelled Joe Burrow wrong. Big no-no. You can't go Joe Borrow. Joe can't be borrowed. And number 2, Carson Beck. Really? Step out. Actually, here's what we're going to do. I'll do this. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you believe this deserves a mute for 3 minutes? I think it deserves a mute for 3 minutes. You can't go on somebody's else. That I would be like me jumping on your channel saying, you know what? Logan Diggs. Herschel who? Nick Chubb who? All right. Beer cans, you're getting muted for just a little bit. You can come back in a second. I'm a man of the people. Okay. I'm a man of the people. It's a short timeout. It's a short timeout. No, I didn't mean to ban him. I didn't mean to ban. Oh crap! I hit the ban button. I meant to put the timeout button. I swear on everything. You guys know I've only banned like music once, and I had him back. I accidentally banned him. I promise you. I'd have to go through and dig through it. I will unban him next time. I swear. I on hand to whichever book you may worship. I did not mean to do that. I like him. I really do. Like you guys could tell I had no issues other than the Joe Burrow comment. I swear on everything. I really authentically mean it. Now, B. Weinman, I know you're an LSU fan, but I might have to put you in timeout for this too. I might have to. I know Aaron Murray was good, and we played in a all-timer. But don't talk about Staquavius like that. I swear, I did not mean to. I swear, you guys don't. I wasn't really paying attention to him. Now that look, Danny Girl's mad at me. You guys know Danny Girl. No, you do not talk about Staquavius like that. Stetson was, he was a Heisman finalist. We do not let Staquavius slander, even though he put a 50 burger on us. Nothing Staquavius. Other than, I will say this. Do not knock on anybody's door at 7 in the morning. Don't, when he did that, no. Okay. But the funny thing is, if you bring Joe's name into it, spell his name right. Spell his name right. You can't just be jumping in. Imagine if I went to a Georgia like live stream. No, Sean, who? Josh Williams is coming, y'all. Pause. Salt? Is Salt next? Is Salt next? Is Salt Ali next? Is Salt next? All right. On to the next topic. That's what I do. Next thing. I do want to bring up. I've had a few of you reach out to me about a PHL meetup in Orlando. Now, here's what I'll do. By the way, I launched a new fantasy football channel. I accidentally posted it twice. There's the actual link. Why is that doing that? Okay, there we go. So go to that link. Go subscribe when you can. It's a new fantasy football channel. I think I'm at like 4 subscribers. I'm so bad at fantasy football. Let's see, where's my subscriber count? 8 subscribers, 18 views. So tomorrow night we might do a fantasy draft on here with Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Carter. It'll be on the fantasy channel. We might do it after our 6 p.m. Wednesday night live stream. Tomorrow night we'll be live at 6 p.m. Central. We'll do a fantasy draft on this channel tomorrow. Now, next thing I do want to bring up is it's not only LSU, but the SEC talked quite a bit about all of that. But I'll reach out to a few PHLs that are going to Orlando. Okay. And a few of you reached out saying, hey, can we all meet up somewhere? Well, we potentially could. Want to FaceTime me in? I don't know. Or what could happen if one of you's in Orlando and a business owner, I'll be able to find my way down there and get to do my show from somewhere like we did last year from Stumpy's. Okay. So there you go. Now, next thing, I meant to bring this up earlier with Jordan. First $20 super chat tonight was going to get a Tim Mulkey card. So there you go. Sending this to Jordan Haddad. And if we do get to 100 in super chats, we are a little bit away from that. I will give away an Arden Key autograph card, and I will send a Mulkey card with it. Okay? If we get $100 in super chats tonight, get an Arden Key card, and I'll send a Mulkey card with it. How about that? There you go, Dwayne. It's good stuff. And it's just going to be a laid-back fantasy channel, drafts, all that stuff. Good to see you, Mick. Upside is Auburn. Okay. I just think they lost a lot on the pass rush. How dope would it be to do a show from Universal City Walk? So I'll make it happen. That would be dope. But yeah. Next, Grant, you get to pick the next topic. Go right ahead. You super chat. Sylvie wants to talk some Aggies. Okay, that's good. You want to talk some Auburn surprise team? Leaning Arkansas, possibly Aggies. I do like Arkansas's schedule better for them this year, but that team is too KJ reliant. I just think if he were to go down, they are just cooked. They are so cooked. And that was the case last year. Okay. Texas A&M, there is a lot to like about them. I do think their offensive line gets better. I do think their quarterback situation is better this year. Their wide receivers are really good. Their wide receiver room is really good. They could be the best in the SEC. I mean, they're up there, right? So obviously, it's us. Georgia's definitely up there, especially if you widen it to just like pass catchers. So yeah, Texas A&M's a really, really good football team in terms of on paper. Okay, they also bring in Hicks, a 5-star defensive lineman. I really liked a lot. I've known some of people close to him for a long time. I think he's a really good football player. I also really, really believe in Missouri. I think Missouri has some tricky vibes to them. I know that sounds strange, but they do catch some teams in some good spots, and they did have some really bad luck last year. They should have beat Auburn on the road. That's a very difficult place to go win a football game. No one honestly ever plays their best football when they're in Jordan-Hare. It's really hard to play there, and they should have won that game, albeit they had a lame duck coach, but still. And they should have beaten Georgia. I mean, they had chances to widen that lead, and they couldn't slay the dragon. Drinkowitz is creative. I think he's good, and their defensive coordinator is one of ours, Blake Baker. So, I think Missouri is tricky. They got a quarterback who has some dual threat ability. Obviously, for Missouri, always the issues is the line of scrimmage battle. They just don't have the numbers there. But skill guys, they're low-key pretty good. Not Missouri, they're on our schedule this year. Texas has burned me more than I want to admit. Dang. Hate to hear that. Let's go to Mike. Jimbo Fisher will break your heart every time, unless he has Jameis Winston. Huh? Yeah, it's true. You will break your heart. But the Aggies, they got the deepest pockets. And they do have that. Eli Drinkowitz is on a hot seat. I do agree with that. I do. His record is essentially the same as Barry Odom's. I thought Barry Odom was a fine head coach there. I really do. It's just You know, I don't think they're ever going to get back to the Gary Pinkel years. I just don't. Did Missouri beat us last time? Oh, boy. We were 0 for 10 on third down. And a Terrace Marshall game. Goodness gracious. He was beast mode. Absolute beast mode. Now, here's what you're going to do. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. But if you super chat, we'll keep it going all night. Now, it is towards the end of the live stream. I want to keep it going. But now you guys can ask about anything non-LSU football related. I feel like we've touched on everything that I wanted to get to today. I will not be spending as much time on recruiting. I've heard from quite a few of you that love the recruiting stuff. My recruiting videos do really well. They do. What I would say, though, about that stuff is like there's just so many people with the recruiting stuff that just it drives them up a wall because there's no signatures, right? There's nothing final. I'll be honest. I have been fatigued lately just looking at recruiting stuff. I really have. I don't know. I don't know at this point. Like I just keep thinking, God, none of this matters until pen is to paper. None of it. All right. Let's go to Sibley. Thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate you. Please give your take on Northwestern and its impact on college football. Go Cats. Okay. I think there's a lot of different things at play. The first is, first off, a school like Northwestern, they're coming off of 1-11 season. They have put a lot of money into the football program. Okay. Their facilities aren't bad by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. Now, first off, the story in general is very serious. And I know it's still early and we still need for all the facts to come out. And why was there, this massive investigation and there was only a 2-week suspension? What did, the coach know? What didn't he know? How have we reached this point to where the student journalists uncover all this stuff? And now we got, accusations of more abuse, and you have obviously some people that are defending Pat Fitzgerald, and then you have, more players anonymously coming out of the woodworks. And why is hazing still a thing? And apparently hazing at Northwestern is something that has always happened. There's a lot of different things here. But one thing I found to be very interesting is, according to reports, only the head coach got fired. All the assistants were retained. So what that could potentially tell me is Northwestern just doesn't want to strip the staff down to the studs right now because there's a season coming up. But at the same time, they also viewed this as a potential opportunity to fire a coach who just went 1-11. Okay. Two things could be true at once here. Okay. Because I do think if you suspend him and then out of nowhere fire him, there are some legal things that can come from that, right? Why did you have this investigation and now you're firing me after suspending me? What the heck? But last thing on this, because it is a sticky, grotesque story and has nothing to do with us. But Anytime there is something very serious in nature, I always think as a college football coach or an administrator or a program director or whatever, go to your team and let them know this is wrong. Don't get caught speeding. Don't speed. Don't haze. Don't do this. Don't do that. Always reiterate it with your team. Because ultimately, they're still 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. It's very weird. It's very weird and troubling. And a lot of that stuff can give people PTSD. Pretty off topic, but thoughts on Zion and the Pelicans drama this offseason. If he comes back strong to start the season, would you consider trying to sell high? Okay. It's a very good question. Here's what I would do. All right. So Zion made his first public media appearance on Gilbert Arenas' show, and he was very clear. I think one thing that was very interesting was it was Zion alone. There wasn't any of his, apparently none of his camp was at this interview. I feel like that is a sign of taking responsibility, sign for speaking for yourself. He talked about, the dieting, how he's going to do more LeBron band work, flexibility work to get his body ready. I think in a way that was him acknowledging, hey, I'm not doing what I need to do to get myself ready. Obviously, when it comes to young superstars, this isn't the worst situation we could be in as Pelican fans. I will say, could you sell high? It would need to be a haul of epic proportions. Like, it would need to be a lot of assets coming back. But at the same time, TJ, I do think the Pelicans need to allow Zion to cook when he gets back. I think he could be a point forward in the NBA. Not in the same way that like LeBron's a point forward, but Zion with shooters surrounding him can be a facilitator. Okay. He is very skilled. A lot of people think of him just as a plotter and just an athlete around the rim. That's obviously what he's best at, but no, he can go off the dribble. He can dish. He can drive and kick. So I wouldn't move him. I wouldn't. As much as I've thought about it, I would not move him. You would need to have an all-time return. But your question is, what if Zion comes back and he is just blazing hot? And this would be the third time he would be performing at a top 10 level. Should you sell high before he gets hurt again or before there's more drama or whatever? You should consider it, but the price tag would need to be pretty astronomical. It would need to be pretty astronomical. Now, I wouldn't do this straight up, but it would need to be obviously elite. After the huddle, welcome to the channel. Not talking bad about Zion, but I worked at an ATV store when he came in and bought 4 ATVs when he was still hurt. I mean, if you got a lot of money, you can buy what you want to buy. No, that would be an absolutely disastrous move for the Saints. Just disastrous. I think Kamara still has juice. There's no way they're suspending him for an entire season. Jamal Williams and Kendra can get you, and just some other undrafted free agent can get you there. Not with what Dalvin wants to be paid. Obviously, the price would need to be where it needs to be. But I still think AK's got juice. I really do think so. On my NFL show earlier today, this got brought up. As far as more from a football card standpoint, but we just talked about him as a player, and I think AK still has another year or two left in him. And the reason why I say that is because his peak was so freaking good. I mean, when I watched Alvin Kamara, I legit thought I was watching transcendency. Not just a great player. I mean, true transcendency, like closer to like how I felt when I watched like LaDainian Tomlinson. Now he wasn't that good or that consistent. Nobody really is, but I felt like I was watching someone like of that tier. I think he's got juice. I think he still has juice. So, I think Kendra and Jamal can get us to where we need to get. I think Kamara won't be suspended any more than 4 or 6 games. So I think he's going to be fine. Dana Girl says, I think we keep him. I like it. Kamara will get about 4 games. Somebody would definitely pay for Zion. Definitely. The NBA is a stars league. And I don't know if he could be the number 1 on a championship team, but I do think it's in the realm of possibility, right? Like for instance, like I think, let me just think of somebody that's really good at the NBA. Let's say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's really good. I do think it's in the realm of possibility he could be the absolute best player on a championship team. But I think he is in like that next like 7 to 8, 9 tier. And I think that's where Zion is right now. I think the top tier obviously would be Giannis, Steph, Greek, Giannis. And then after that, it would be, I think it would still put like LeBron in that tier. But I think those 3 are so far and away that right now. As far as me reasonably thinking you can win a title, and I know those 3 were the last 3 to win the title, but I still feel that way. And then after that, I think Luka and a few others are in that range. So yeah. No integrity. I don't know if I agree with that. You agree? Like to say he has no integrity would mean like what other incident has there been? That's what I would bring up. The only thing in the NBA that teams should be worried about is the Britney Spears Victor Wembanyama curse. You don't mess with Britney Spears, y'all. You don't mess with her. She is sacred. Britney Spears is one musical artist alive today that I feel could cast a serious spell on you. And when Beyonce had to mess with her, you don't. If Britney Spears wants you to take a photo with her, you do it immediately, not because you like her. She told you she's toxic. If Britney Spears walks up to you and asks you for a photo, you oblige. You don't know what can happen after that. I actually just love her music. Like, I grew up liking all like the A-list pop kind of stuff. Like, I was Destiny's Child, Backstreet, NSYNC. I loved all of them. Every list pop thing. But Britney, man, she might have been number one. She might have been number one. She was like next level. Like the music, it just like the music was so catchy. It was so catchy. And she's from Louisiana. Wood, baby. Know what you do it. All right, Taylor Swift. No. Do I like how much joy she is bringing so many people with this epic tour that she's on? And I say epic. I shared that story about my buddy being floor seats for Britney for freaking Taylor Swift at Kansas City. That lets me know he's on a different financial status than me. Also, so I also saw I couldn't believe it. I also saw him take a photo with the Fiji water bottle in his hand. Now that is the ultimate sign of class. That means you're up here, I'm down here. Nah, Gwen wasn't bigger than Britney. She might have had more longevity. Gwen's up there though. I mean, she's up there, but not Britney. Taylor, yes. Beyonce, yes. As far as like superstardom. Oh man, I lose so many viewers when I start talking about my sports cards in the background. I do a sports card show every Tuesday at 1:30 on the Football Card Quest Network. I got Dante Culpepper and Steve McNair right here. It's a Jay Hill card. And then, of course, it's a Drew Brees refractor. And this is a Tyrann Mathieu rainbow right here. And obviously, I got a Tyrann Mathieu ticket and a few other things in there. But welcome to the channel. That unsurprising. Yeah, Madonna's bigger than all of them. She's a, top 5 solo artist when it comes to sales. I think Taylor's going to crush everybody. I think it's inevitable at this point now. Drop it down in Daisy Dukes. But Bruno's always going to be my number one. Oh, crap. Nate Ackenhausen's coming back next year. That's good for LSU baseball. The Will Blackwell look-alike. I like it playing all music except rap. It's anything but country. Taylor Swift like 333 million on this tour. It's crazy. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I was a country DJ for 5 years. The Stones? I know Skipper was coming in. Stones. Don't forget PHL Idol coming up. I think I have a date for it, Brandscat. I got to get a few judges, so I don't feel like I'm judge material. Okay. Mm. Or Matt Rife. Oh man, Matt Rife has really broken the mind of so many comics. I will say it is a little unfair to be that good looking and be a stand up. That dude is unfreaking believably good looking. Like his jawline, all that stuff. It's too handsome to be a comic. I don't think any comedian should be beautiful, and it just takes away automatically. Man, woman, it doesn't matter. You can't be that pretty. Like every comedian that you truly adore looks like Chappelle or Bill Burr or someone like that. Like I find very like ripped, perfect teeth, perfect all that stuff. It's hard for me to laugh at that because good looks propels you in everything in life. It does, whether or not you want to admit it, right? Whether or not you want to admit it. I'm telling you right now, the sign of good talent is an A-lister in any walk of life that is not good looking. That 9 out of every 10 people, objectively speaking, would say that person is not attractive. So, to use a music's example, Chris Stapleton. Every country male artist looks like like a Hollister spokesman. Everyone else. Stapleton, Holmes, you know they're good. You know they're good. They got to have actual talent. It's the truth. It's the truth. Right? One big thing that's happening right now, like in the like I'm serious, Daniel. It's not a pause or anything like that. It's just like he is obscenely good looking. Like it's crazy. But next thing I would say about that though, Danny Girl, is forget Matt Rife. You know who's kind of gone a little viral for the good looks things? Okay. And men, this is going to make you feel very uncomfortable. And this is going to be a good sign, men, if you are truly comfortable, not only with yourself, but also with your significant other. What you might not have noticed when you were watching the College World Series run is your ladies are probably taking a good long stare at Dylan Cruz. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. Dylan Cruz has kind of hit some of these TikTok algos, and the ladies are going crazy. They were already like that. But now that he was doing this, I'm telling you. So, men, you're either in one or two camps. Either your wife or significant other has already told you that Dylan Cruz is that dude. Number two, they're afraid to tell you because they know they would get very jealous. Because obviously, every single one of us would switch spots to be an LSU legend, to have your name plastered all over the place, and to have a $9 million baseball contract. But to also be good looking? Are you kidding me? Same thing with Joe. And Joe's already there. But Dylan Cruz is starting to get there. for nothing for has nothing to do with him being a transcendent athlete. I'm just telling you. I'm telling Sibley. Sibley was like, dang, that's what you get for going to those baseball games, man. Take a big football line. There you go, Danny girl. I like it. Oh man. Yes, the new teeth changed everything for Matt Rife. Changed everything. But I will tell you this. And this I don't care what you do with your teeth. I don't have great teeth. It hurts. But I will tell you that there are quite a few LSU football legends that have gotten the teeth thing themselves. Legends. The teeth thing is real when it comes to attractiveness. It is real. It is very, very, very real. Richter, good to see you. Jules, good to see you. Okay, so it's always a good question when I get quite a bit about the statue debate. Obviously, you know, with the baseball, and you guys can confirm this for me or not. There is a statue of Skip Bertman outside the Alec box. Obviously, with the statue thing, it's always tricky. There's a lot of people that want a Joe statue up. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, Jules. I think as far as like statues are concerned, would Joe want a statue now while he's still playing? I don't know. And I don't know. I don't know if Dylan would want one until like later in his career. I think the big thing for like Dylan Cruz now, Jules, is the debate about the number 3 being retired at LSU. And I truly think it should be. I do. Unless you want to do like a number 7 thing. But I think, they already have that one, the number 8 tradition. I just think you can't put that jersey on anybody else. Just simply because, and Jules, thank you for your support. You've been rocking with me for a while. I love having a diverse audience, men, women, all backgrounds. I love it. But yeah, I think I do think the number 3 should be retired in baseball. I do. Because here's my thing with Dylan Cruz is I don't know, like, if you don't retire number 3, then no baseball number at LSU should be retired. If you get that, what I mean. If you've retired other baseball numbers, you can't just stop the tradition now, right? So I think it has to be. I think it has to be. So yeah, I mean, he gave you 3 years of elite play. I don't think he could have done any more than he did. And something else, Jules, about like the jersey retiring thing is like he had a huge game in the final game, right? And that matters so much. Like that final game and how you end your career matters. It matters so, so, so much. And it's something else he has going for him as well. So there you go. All right. Now, apparently, Man, that'd be crazy. I've kept with this some, Doug. I just don't know a whole lot about him. Do you think he's special? Do you think he's got like? Do you think he's him? Timothy? He's throwing 98. He got to be pretty good. Oh hell yeah! This. Oh, this is breaking news. Okay. We are up to 14 subscribers. My latest video. I should subscribe to my own channel. Mediocre fantasy football. 14 subscribers. Joshua watched earlier today. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, I don't. How does that work? If you have a number. So how does this work? If you have a number, I honestly have no clue. If you have a number and you say, "Hey, I want $3 million," and if you draft me, I will sign for $3 million. So is that a signing bonus or is that a per year salary? Is it a per? Oh, look, Hal and Jay Forbes hanging out. Look at that. I like that. Is this a is this a per? So it's the signing bonus. Phone and laptop. There you go. I appreciate that. So you sign. Okay, so all right, that makes sense. So that's on top of what you already got. That makes sense. We definitely didn't let him go. All right, so teams have until July 25th. That's the signing deadline to persuade with a lump sum. Okay, that makes sense. Rounds 1 through 10 have a set slot value as a signing bonus. Teams can try to save off each pick in those rounds that they can. Rounds 11 to 20 could sometimes be paid more bonus. Oh, okay. Just depends on, like, let's say like Cam slid and one team says, hey, we're getting some great ADP value here. Let's just go on ahead and pay what he wants because we're getting him in the 7th, 8th round. So baseball All-Star Game was tonight. Is the NBA All-Star Game the only major sport All-Star Game that fans truly care about? I think there was a little bit of a reversal with like the two major All-Star games. So like the Pro Bowl, I like what they did with the Pro Bowl this year. Peyton and Eli, I like all that. So it used to be that the MLB All-Star Game was a big deal, and the NBA Slam Dunk and three-point contest was a big deal. And then the game itself was just, kind of a game, and the home run derby was just not, it was a thing, but it wasn't really that big of a thing. Now it seems like the dunk contest has gotten way worse. The home run derbies have gotten way better, but the baseball All-Star Game has gone down. And you can argue the NBA All-Star Game has gone down as well. Now that I think about it. I don't know. I don't watch the MLB All-Star Game all that much because, I'm just not that big of a baseball guy. But what I will tell you, with Ohtani and De La Cruz and all these guys, it's a bright future for baseball. Bright future for baseball. Exactly. If he wanted to stay, LSU would have loved to have kept him. Let's see. We're up to 16 subs. Good stuff. Proud of y'all. McClung, the pride of Georgetown. TLV, good to see you. New fantasy football channel, brother. Check it out. All right, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central. Okay? For the 1 hour live stream. And we will be chatting like this. Got some fun guests lined up for you in the near future. We'll talk to you soon. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam. And shout out to our top super chatter of the evening, Jordan and John Sibley. No real surprise. Grant, and TJ always showing love as well. Let's freaking